What if the solution to your joint pain has been sitting in your kitchen cabinet this whole time, ignored, underestimated, and strangely powerful? What if I told you that by simply combining two common household ingredients, you could unlock an effect so potent it's been quietly referenced in decades of natural health practices, and now backed by science? But is it truly effective or just another viral claim? How does it work? Why does it work? And who should never try it, even if it seems harmless? Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what happens when castor oil meets baking soda on your joints. And more importantly, you'll understand whether this curious combo might finally give you that relief you've been looking for. And hey, if you're into learning smart, simple, science-backed ways to improve your health every week, tap that subscribe button. Let's dive in. So here's the thing. Most people who suffer from joint pain think they've tried everything. Creams, pills, stretching routines, maybe even injections. But they overlook the idea that sometimes the most effective support doesn't come from something new. It comes from something old, really old. Castor oil, for example, has been used for over 4,000 years. That's not marketing hype. That's history. Egyptian papyrus scrolls even mention it. But let's pause for a second. Why should you care? Because when you blend castor oil with something as simple as baking soda, the chemistry that unfolds isn't just anecdotal. It's supported by some fascinating mechanisms that science can actually explain. But I get it. You're skeptical. Maybe you've heard castor oil helps with constipation or dry skin, but joint pain seems like a stretch, right? Let's break it down. We'll start with castor oil. The key compound here is ricinoleic acid. This unique fatty acid has demonstrated anti-inflammatory properties in multiple studies. In fact, when applied topically, ricinoleic acid can penetrate deeply through the skin layers, reaching tissues and joints beneath. It's not a numbing agent. It's a quiet, deep-acting anti-inflammatory tool. That means it doesn't just make the pain disappear. It helps reduce what causes the pain in the first place: chronic low-grade inflammation. Now, inflammation in joints is sneaky. It builds slowly. It doesn't announce itself overnight. Instead, you start noticing stiffness in the morning, a dull ache when you climb stairs, or that familiar twinge when the weather changes. These are all signs of inflammation, not just wear and tear. But here's where things get really interesting. When baking soda enters the mix, you see sodium bicarbonate. Yep, your humble baking soda isn't just for baking cookies or freshening your fridge. In recent years, studies have found that baking soda can activate anti-inflammatory pathways, particularly in the spleen and kidneys, which influence immune response and reduce overactive inflammation. Think about that for a second. A teaspoon of white powder that helps neutralize stomach acid also helps calm down the immune system's attack on your joints. That's huge. But how do castor oil and baking soda work together? This is where the magic happens. When combined, they don't just add their benefits, they enhance each other. Castor oil opens the gateway, thanks to its ability to penetrate deep into the skin and tissue layers. Baking soda, with its alkalizing and immune-modulating effect, creates an environment where inflammation struggles to thrive. Imagine that. You're essentially applying a biochemical whisper to your immune system, saying, "Hey, chill out here, this tissue is fine. No need to attack." Now here's what most people don't realize. Joint pain isn't just about cartilage. It's also about the surrounding tissue: ligaments, tendons, bursae, synovial fluid. And these tissues, they react strongly to systemic inflammation, which is why even medications targeting cartilage degeneration often fail to deliver full relief, because they don't reach the whole picture. This castor oil and baking soda mix, it might not be glamorous, but it's holistic in the best sense. It works on the whole joint ecosystem. So how do you use it? That's probably what you're wondering now. But before we get there, you need to understand why it works first. Otherwise, it's just another random recipe on the internet. And I promise you, this isn't random. Let's take a step into the science of absorption. Your skin isn't just a barrier. It's a messenger. It absorbs, transmits, and interacts with what you put on it. Castor oil, because of its small molecular structure and high viscosity, acts almost like a carrier. It doesn't just sit on top. It pulls. It drives molecules deeper, which means that if you mix it with something beneficial, like baking soda, in a specific form, it can help draw those ions through the skin barrier and into deeper tissue. And here's another twist that'll surprise you. There's evidence that regular application of baking soda can increase the production of anti-inflammatory macrophages. Those are white blood cells that clean up inflammation, not just suppress it. Clean it up. That's a game changer. Now, before you grab a spoon and start mixing, here's something vital to remember. Not all skin types respond the same way, and the way you apply this matters. Some people make the mistake of rubbing this mix on and expecting miracles in 10 minutes. But healing doesn't work like a switch. It works like a dial. It turns slowly, but it does turn. So, here's a simple question. What do you really want from your joints? Less pain? Sure. But how about more mobility? The ability to get up from a chair without bracing your arms, to walk a flight of stairs without hesitation, to wake up and not feel like you're dragging iron chains at your knees. That's what this combo is about. Not instant pain relief, but progressive, noticeable improvement over days or weeks. When used regularly, and we'll get to the best method soon, it's not just a surface fix. It's a nudge to your biology. Now, maybe you've heard that baking soda can irritate the skin. That's true in high doses or prolonged use, which is why dilution matters. The ratio matters. And we'll walk through that. But let's pause again here. Why hasn't your doctor told you about this? That's a fair question. The answer is simple and not as sinister as some might think. It's because it's not a prescription. It's not studied in large-scale pharmaceutical trials. There's no incentive to pour millions into a clinical study for something you can buy for $2 at the store. But that doesn't mean the effect isn't real. In fact, one small-scale study published in the Journal of Inflammation Research found that topical castor oil applications over arthritic joints improved markers of inflammation and pain over a 2-week period, comparable in some cases to over-the-counter NSAIDs, but without gastrointestinal side effects. And when you combine that with baking soda's proven alkalizing and immune-modulating properties, you're not just applying a treatment, you're inviting balance back into your joints. Let's ask something a bit uncomfortable. What if the reason your joint pain hasn't improved isn't just your age or your weight or your activity level, but inflammation that's never been addressed the right way? What if your joints aren't broken? They're just screaming for the inflammation to stop. Because when inflammation cools, tissue heals, movement returns, and life opens up again. You're probably curious now. How exactly do you use this mixture? When? How often? Is there a secret timing that boosts its effect? We'll go there. But first, let me tell you one more thing. You're not alone. Millions of Americans, especially over the age of 50, silently battle joint pain daily. And most have no idea that relief might be a castor oil bottle away. And that's exactly why you're here, because you're ready to try something that makes sense, that's backed by logic, history, and yes, modern science. And even if it sounds simple, that's often where the best solutions hide, in simplicity. So let's not keep the rest waiting. If you're over 50 and your joints ache when you get out of bed, go upstairs, or just try to enjoy a walk, it's not your age, and it's not your fault. The real issue? Your body's running out of a natural substance that cushions your joints like a shock absorber. And most supplements out there, glucosamine, collagen, all of it, don't fix this. But now, researchers have discovered a breakthrough that can actually restore what your joints are missing. And people in their 60s, 70s, even 80s are seeing real relief. If you're feeling stiff, sore, or weaker lately, stop guessing. Check the link in the pinned comment now. All right, let's pick up right where we left off. You're holding this potential solution in your hands. Castor oil and baking soda. You understand why it might work. But now it's time to understand how to actually apply it so it delivers the best possible results. And trust me, this is where most people get it wrong. It's not just about mixing and smearing. It's about intention, consistency, and respecting the biology beneath your skin. Start with quality. Always choose cold-pressed, hexane-free castor oil. Why? Because castor oil is delicate. The active compounds, especially ricinoleic acid, can degrade if the oil is extracted using heat or chemicals. Cold-pressed means those therapeutic compounds stay intact. That's the version you want on your joints. As for the baking soda, stick to food grade. That ensures purity, which is critical since you're applying it to your skin, your body's largest organ. Remember, what goes on your body goes in your body. Now the mix. Start small. In a clean bowl, combine about 2 tablespoons of castor oil with 1 teaspoon of baking soda. Stir until the mixture forms a smooth, paste-like texture. You don't want it too gritty or too runny. The consistency should allow it to stay on your skin without dripping off, but still spread easily across the joint. But here's the key. Don't rub it in like lotion. Instead, apply a thick layer, almost like a mask, directly onto the affected joint. Knees, wrists, elbows, shoulders, wherever you feel that stiffness or dull ache. Cover the area, but don't massage it in yet. Let the skin breathe and absorb naturally. Then, and this step is important, cover the area with a piece of clean cotton or an old t-shirt cloth, something breathable. You can also use plastic wrap if you want to lock in the warmth, but make sure it doesn't irritate your skin. The warmth is important because it enhances circulation, which boosts absorption and soothes the tissue beneath. If you want to supercharge the effect, place a warm compress or heating pad on top for about 30 minutes. While you're resting with that compress, I want you to think about something. We live in a world that celebrates speed, fast pain relief, quick fixes. But your body isn't a machine, it's a garden. And gardens don't respond to speed, they respond to consistency. When you apply this treatment once, you may feel a bit of relief. But when you do it every evening for a week, that's when the real transformation starts. Now you might be wondering, how long should I do this? How often? For chronic joint discomfort, aim for 5 to 7 days a week for at least 2 weeks. After that, you can taper to maintenance, 2 or 3 times weekly, especially if the weather changes or you've had a particularly active day. And remember, consistency isn't about being perfect. It's about showing up for yourself, even when it's inconvenient. Now let's talk results. What should you expect? For many people, the first thing they notice is warmth, a gentle, calming warmth in the joint that wasn't there before. That's circulation, that's oxygenation, that's healing. Then comes mobility. Maybe the stiffness in the morning isn't quite as sharp. Maybe you stand up a little easier after sitting. Maybe your sleep improves because your joints aren't waking you up with throbs or aches. These small wins matter, and they're not just in your head. A 2015 study published in the International Journal of Naturopathic Medicine found that patients with osteoarthritis who applied castor oil topically for 4 weeks reported statistically significant improvements in pain, stiffness, and mobility without any adverse side effects. That's something that even some prescription drugs can't guarantee. But let's not oversell this. Castor oil and baking soda aren't going to rebuild cartilage. They're not going to reverse bone-on-bone degeneration. What they can do is help modulate inflammation, soothe tissues, and improve comfort levels. And sometimes, that's exactly what someone needs to move more, stretch more, and improve circulation, creating a virtuous cycle of healing. Now, let's rewind a bit. Remember how we talked about the immune system's role in inflammation? That's where baking soda shines. In 2018, researchers at Augusta University found that drinking a baking soda solution could trigger a shift in the immune system, encouraging the spleen to produce more anti-inflammatory cells instead of inflammatory ones. While this was an internal study, it suggests something powerful. Baking soda doesn't just affect pH levels. It affects immune behavior. That means even topical use, especially when absorbed through a medium like castor oil, can support a broader anti-inflammatory response. But what if you're dealing with more than just inflammation? What if your joints feel swollen, hot to the touch, or if you have autoimmune arthritis? Here's where it's essential to be careful. This remedy, while powerful, is not a replacement for medical care. If your pain is sharp, sudden, or accompanied by fever or redness, always consult a healthcare provider. But if you're dealing with lingering soreness, stiffness from overuse, or age-related joint discomfort, this mix could be your new evening ritual. And yes, you can absolutely pair this with your current treatments. It's not either-or. It's about layering natural support alongside conventional care to get better results. Still, some people will say, but it's too simple. If this worked, everyone would know about it. Well, let me ask you something. When was the last time simplicity was profitable? Simplicity doesn't sell ads. It doesn't need patents. But simplicity does heal, if you give it a chance. Now here's a surprise most people never see coming. Regular use of castor oil packs especially over the abdomen or liver, has been associated with improved lymphatic flow. That means better detoxification, better immune regulation, and better fluid balance, which directly affects joint swelling. So by applying castor oil and baking soda to your joints, you're not just treating pain. You're gently nudging your whole system to work better. That's not alternative medicine. That's just good, old-fashioned logic paired with physiology. And here's something deeply personal. Pain changes people. It makes us smaller, less social, less adventurous. It robs us of confidence and independence. So when you find something that helps, even a little, it's worth holding on to, and it's worth sharing. So maybe tonight, you'll grab that bottle of castor oil, open that box of baking soda, mix a little, try it, not because it's trendy, not because someone swore by it on social media, but because you've taken the time to understand it, because you're investing in yourself gently and wisely, and if you do, pay attention. Watch your body. Notice the small shifts. Celebrate them, because healing isn't always loud. Sometimes it whispers. Now, if this has made you curious to discover other powerful, simple health secrets that might already be in your home, secrets backed by real science, not hype, then don't stop here. Watch the next video on screen right now. It might just unlock something even more powerful than what you learned today.